France has just proposed resuming its partnership with Niger Republic. Now, let me give you the reason. Claiming it would be sincere. France is now telling Niger Republic that this time around they will be sincere. So it begs the question: have you not been sincere all along? We all know the answer. It even suggested returning Niger's objects that were acquired, like the artifacts that were acquired during colonization. According to France, the happiness of the Nigerian people, the reason why it's returning these artifacts is for the happiness of the Nigerian people. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about that? Also proposing to help Niger to finance the recovery from the recent flood attack. That is another key point you guys have to take note of. And it has said it is also willing to contribute to its fight against terrorism. Mm-mm. Damn. Returning of the artifacts, fighting against terrorism, contributing to the recovery uh, during the flood attack. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer was very swift. Niger responded that the only happiness France can truly offer Nigerians is to stay far away from the country. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? According to further information, they said even offering to pay reparations to Niger for the massacre in 1899 when the territory of now Niger Republic sought to resist the French rule. To be honest with you, this is what I think, right? I think France has lost total control. Not only has it lost its total control, I think at the start of everything, I think there was still some illegal mining going on. I'm just being honest with you. Of uranium in some capacity. I think there was some illegal mining of gold that was still going on. But I think the end is drawing near. How do I mean? I feel like France not being able to control the uranium of Niger and to control the uranium of Central African Republic, the uranium of Burkina Faso, the uranium of Mali, I think is a big problem at this point. And a lot of people we talk about the AES state. We are not talking about the Central African Republic. Russia entered Central African Republic and liberated the place from France. Complete demolition job. And this is why France is actively going against, any of these countries. The Central African Republic has a large uranium deposit. So has the Burkina Faso, Mali. Initially it was still going smoothly. France wasn't boxed to the tight corner because they could still buy. Maybe they could still use their proxy countries to buy. But after Niger said they won't be selling their uranium to none of the Western, you know, nations again, I think that was where, you know, the submission started brewing up. And I think at this point now, with France coming out to make this type of admissions, what do you think? Do you think the endurance of France is wearing thinner? And when I read meaning into what France said, it said for the happiness of the Nigerian citizen. So who are the representative of the Nigerian citizens? Are they not the Nigerian government? So why are you addressing Niger as if you are addressing the citizen apart from you addressing the government? I think France is still bringing this arrogance of, and we won't talk to a pushist regime. They are still having that idea. You see, Captain Ibrahim Traore has already said they call us pushists. We don't know the meaning. We don't speak French. He said French is not their indigenous language. So you call them pushists. They don't know the meaning. He said so now that a lot of locals are even beginning to, pushiste. They don't know the meaning, but they say it. He said, so let's legalize it. We are putschist. You understand? I mean, even me in Nigeria, I never knew the meaning of pushist until recently. I don't even know what it is. If somebody called me a pushist, I would just laugh and move off. It's better we don't even understand the meaning. It's not our business. So I feel like France is already reaching the terminal stage because who knows where the Russia-Ukraine war escalation will get to. I think France needs this uranium more than it needs oxygen. You know, when you are using uranium for your own consumption, mining it in another person's country, and not only are you doing that, you're equally selling it for a price that looks more like a robbery. You know, it is a serious situation. Hmm? They've tried all possible means. But the reason why a lot of people, somebody came in the comment section in some of my other social media accounts and said, France can walk in there and take the uranium if they want. You see, that is the thing we're talking about. A lot of people are still living in 1960. Let's forget sovereignty, right? No French troop can enter Niger and say they want to do this and that. No, that is why they are acting through the Azawadians. That's why they are acting through Ukrainian supply, claiming Ukraine is fighting with Russia in Africa and all of those storyline to bamboozle everybody. But we do know that equally France cannot take the shame and the embarrassment and the loss of losing a strategic country like the Central African Republic, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, these four countries. And they can't do it because the Russian partners are there too. So if you touch these countries, it's like touching the countries that have security agreements with them. That means you are preparing for a full-scale escalation. And you know what it means. They have defense agreements with countries that have the nuclear capabilities. So before we even look at, before people talk too much without thinking, they have to think about these possibilities. So, this is just the situations that, everybody needs to look at critically before, they just say anything anyhow. So, and I love the resilience that the Nigerian people has shown. Do you know that before France had three military bases in Niger and its operational cost for each of the bases was 2 million CFA franc per day. And when they summed everything up, the annual cost of maintaining those three military bases at in Niger was 478 billion CFA franc. Ladies and gentlemen, and this whole thing was on the Nigerian resources, you know. So what France did in Niger was a constructive demolition. And so, because when a lot of people hear Nigerian president saying leave Niger alone, they think it's just maybe some sort of resentment. No, it's deeper than that. This is beyond plunder. The Orano, the Some, all the companies that France had in Niger were not paying taxes because we belong to their hegemony. They weren't paying taxes. Macron embarrassed the president. Bazoum was equally an ally. The AES states were simply delivered from a catastrophe, to be honest with you, because this is a country that, has uranium, has fuel, petroleum, but at the end of the day, they were in total darkness. They said, well, now that all is over, everything is getting expensive in France. Increasing fuel price, water price, gas prices, taxes, even small packages bought on the internet are now taxed in France. Patients who were waiting for a favor from the government are called to contribute to repaying the debt, which has climbed to 114% of the GDP for the first time since the existence of France. Ladies and gentlemen, What do you think? What do you think? France is in a serious trouble, and we will see. They were taking this uranium for free, but now it's no longer for free. They were buying before. They were buying from Central African Republic. They were buying from Niger. And now Niger has said they are no longer even selling to any of the Western. They initially stopped selling to France completely. But I felt like France could have been buying through a proxy nation. But now they've said they are no longer selling to the Western countries. And I feel like this is what is causing all this problem. And that is why you see the wolf now coming back in a sheep clothing and making this type of, request. And I'm very, very excited by the swift answer they got. A no is no. To be honest with you, a country like France is bad for the history books. It's your boy 7200 signing out, enough said, but before I go, I'll see you on the next video.